the Rabbit R1 so disappointing? This gadget promises much but delivers little, with slow performance, constant glitches, and a fragile design. Despite the initial excitement, it leaves users frustrated and underwhelmed. But what went wrong with the Rabbit R1? Let's find out. The Rabbit R1 is an artificial intelligence device marketed as an all-rounder tool capable of answering questions, identifying objects through its cameras, playing music, and simplifying tasks such as food and ride ordering. Despite its ambitious promises, the R1 has faced criticism for its performance issues and lack of essential features. The design of the R1, which the reviewer likened to the nostalgic Nokia Lumia Windows phones, is characterized by its orange hue, earning it the playful moniker Luminesque. Although the plastic feels premium and is lightweight enough not to burden the user excessively, but in terms of aesthetics, few people appreciated the design details, including the scroll wheel. However, usability could be improved. Few also suggest to offer other color options apart from orange, as personal preferences may vary. Since its debut at Consumer Electronics Show, where it was showcased with grand demonstrations and promises of revolutionizing everyday tasks, the Rabbit R1 has left many early adopters disappointed. Over 100,000 people pre-ordered the device based on these promises, but the reality fell short of expectations. Compared to other devices like the Humane AI Pin, which had previously been reviewed and found lacking, the R1 appeared more promising due to its lower price and seemingly simpler ambitions. However, upon testing it, R1 struggles with basic functions, such as accurately identifying common objects or providing accurate weather information. No additional costs for features like cellular connectivity. The Rabbit R1 uses Rabbit OS, which is built on Android version 13. Liu said Rabbit OS is highly customized, but Android Authority disagreed after analyzing it. Android expert Michelle Rahman discovered that Rabbit OS has very few changes from the original Android, so its app can be used on an Android phone. One of the most interesting features, Large Action Model, LAM, is a type of large language model designed to perform actions and assist with tasks like web searches, streaming music, and transportation services. It also allows you to perform tasks through voice commands. However, its current functionality is limited to a few apps such as Uber, DoorDash, Midjourney, and Spotify, which requires users to access through Rabbit's web app, Rabbit Hole. This raises security concerns, as Rabbit may access and potentially store user credentials. Although the Rabbit R1 lets users use Spotify, Uber, and DoorDash by a poor user interface, it doesn't have a touchscreen. Instead, it relies on a push-to-talk button to activate voice, a single button. Plus, there is no dedicated back button. A 2.88-inch touchscreen for interactive user input, users have to scroll all the way up a page to find an option to go back. Without the LAM, the R1 functions as a voice assistant, an AI search engine which provides nearly real-time updates on news, sports scores, and more. However, it can be inaccurate at times, and Rabbit is heavily based on AI systems. The R1's dual functionality of a speaker and a screen allows users to listen to responses and view information simultaneously. One notable feature is the ability to dictate, save that as a note after receiving more information, which is then stored in the Rabbit Hole app. A standout feature of the R1 is its voice recorder. Activated by a simple button press and voice command like Start the Voice Recorder, it records audio, summarizes it using AI, and stores it in the Rabbit Hole. Although $200 is relatively high for a voice recorder, the R1's microphone quality is admirable, making it useful for recording tasks such as to-do lists or diary entries. One enjoyable experience with the R1 R1 was using its vision feature. By pointing the R1's camera at various landmarks, the user could request information, and the device performed reasonably well in identifying presidents and memorials. It almost served as an AI-driven tour guide. However, its performance changed completely when aimed at lesser-known or less frequently photographed objects. The Rabbit R1 doesn't have basic features like setting alarms or timers, which seems odd considering that voice assistants like Siri have been doing these tasks for years. When these technologies first came out about 10 years ago, they were also marketed as AI, much like how R1 is now. One would expect an AI chat device to do more than Siri, which is a very basic voice assistant. Setting an alarm should be something it can easily handle. One interesting feature is the R1's ability to summarize text captured by its camera. Testing it with any information about Rabbit OS being an Android app showed surprisingly accurate results. Overall, buying the Rabbit R1 may not be a good idea. The only exception might be for tech enthusiasts who love new gadgets. Priced at $200, it's more affordable compared to the Humane AI Pin, which starts at $699 plus subscription costs. However, it still requires cellular service and Wi-Fi to operate, meaning there's still a monthly cost involved. The AI Pin's monthly fee is $24, and getting an additional phone line for the R1 will cost about the same. The company has been transparent about this, and the CEO, Jesse Liu, admits that the device is still in its very early stage. According to few viewers, they are upset as they're required to pay full price for an incomplete product. This is less than ideal. Another interesting feature was the camera's capability to field questions about visible objects with a simple double tap to activate and press and hold to inquire. However, its accuracy was inconsistent, providing accurate responses only about 25% of the time. Few users also highlighted the R1's utility in practical situations, such as assisting in reading medication labels in a pharmacy, where it outperformed Siri in providing relevant information. Some critics think the R1 should have just been an app, but not everyone agrees. A more practical approach could be involving this technology into wearables like smartwatches. Adapting the R1's hardware for a smartwatch body, where all the processing happens in the cloud, would be relatively simple. Alternatively, embedding this technology directly into smartphones by big companies like Apple or Google could be very useful. With big advancements in AI expected, smartphones might soon be able to do what the R1 does naturally. Few sources also suggest more like a trial to attract interest from big tech companies like Apple and Google that want advanced AI capabilities. Most people don't want to carry around an extra device. As it is now, the Rabbit R1 doesn't offer enough to make it worth carrying with a smartphone, even if future updates make it better. The R1 allows bi-directional translation between an impressive number of languages, but its translation capabilities aren't reliable in crucial situations. Its translations are often inaccurate. While it managed a passable job with Urdu and Arabic, it struggled significantly with Hindi. Considering Google Translate is free, the middling translation abilities of the R1 were not impressive at all. Initially, the R1's battery life was disappointingly short during the first few days of testing, draining quickly even on standby mode. Subsequent updates improved standby battery performance, yet active usage such as playing music or asking questions still significantly reduces battery life. Despite improvements, it remains inferior to the longevity of most smartphones. The device's 1000 mAh battery lasts about 5 to 6 hours and takes an hour to recharge. Despite a recent software update that improved battery performance performance slightly, it still doesn't seem like an all-day companion. In standby mode, the battery dropped by 6% in just 2.5 hours. The device seemed clueless about the user's location. One of the users from Manhattan shared his experience when he asked for a weather update and provided the weather report for Anaheim, California. It eventually got it right, but the user could have checked their phone way faster. Despite the R1's GPS services, it initially got the user's zip code wrong. After being corrected, it apologized but still suggested a Starbucks in Indiana when asked for the nearest one. According to a few sources, Rabbit Incorporated has been in the spotlight due to accusations about its funding and previous projects. In May 2023, YouTuber Steven Finderson, known as CoffeeZilla, released a video claiming that Rabbit Incorporated was built on a scam. Originally named Cyber Manufacturing Company, the company rebranded to Rabbit Inc. 2 months before launching the Rabbit R1. Under its old name, it raised $6 million in November 2021 for a project called Gamma, which was meant to be the next generation NFT project. CEO Jesse Liu called Gamma a fun little project. CoffeeZilla, who investigates scams involving influencers, shared old Clubhouse recordings of Liu talking about Gamma. In these recordings, the CEO talked about the significant funding for Gamma and its goal to be a revolutionary, carbon-negative cryptocurrency. CoffeeZilla questioned what happened to the funds raised for Gamma, noting that about $1 million in refunds to investors was still unresolved. He suggested that the rebranding to Rabbit Inc. and the shift to the Rabbit R1 were efforts to distract from the Gamma project's issues. Finally, despite controversy, we can conclude that the R1 can't be used in daily activities due to its occasional inaccuracies and limited utility, indicating it would likely remain unused after the review period. And here's a thought to wrap it up. Is the Rabbit R1 beyond saving, or can it be redeemed? Don't forget to comment your thoughts down below. Give it a like, share, and subscribe.